How's it going, guys? Tom from the Full Boots team, and today we will be creating one of our craziest and coolest customs ever by using a professional airbrush and heat activated paint to create an amazing color changing effect. This awesome effect has only ever been done once by one brand, and that was the Nike Hypervenom Phantom SE Transforms. So now we'll be showing you how to add this effect to any pair of boots you have. So as you guys can see, we're using the CR7 Vittorias as our starting point. Before you freak out and get mad at us for ruining an amazing limited edition boot, don't worry, this is a fake pair which we recently did a fake versus real test with. If you haven't seen that, make sure you go check it out, it's on the channel right now. The idea behind this custom is to transform the amazing CR7 Vittorias into an extremely limited CR7 Campeões, but let's get straight into creating this amazing custom. First things first, laces out. Wanting to preserve the Nike swoosh, I taped that up first using painted tape in lots of small pieces that follow the line of the iconic branding. The best thing about this type of tape is that it doesn't peel away any paint. We also wanted to start off by keeping the white collar and knit section looking pristine. The same painter's tape was used along with some slightly stickier duct tape and some handy towels to cover the area. We chose to start by keeping the collar white because we were unsure if the heat changing paint would retain its effect on the knitted material. We wanted to be able to confirm the effect worked on the upper first. There were two areas left to tape up, the CR7 branding on the medial instep and the chrome gold of the sole plate. The CR7 branding was taped and then cut out by using a Stanley knife to trace around the iconic letters and number. The sole plate was simply taped, similar to the collar, using painter's tape and paper towels. One last step before we get into airbrush spraying was using acetone to remove the finish of the boot and create a better surface for the paint to take to. Making sure that all the areas that you want to protect are covered with tape and tissue, the upper is prepared and the boot is all ready for airbrush time. When we created our first iridescent custom a couple of weeks ago, we used a Prevel spray system, but we faced some issues with how it performed. So what we did was get ourselves a professional airbrush trying to create higher quality finish. The paint products that are needed to create this color changing custom are as follows: a paint container measured to mix in, Angelus neutral, Angelus too thin, and thermal dust red to colorless from solarcolordust.com. So the first thing to do is add Angelus neutral into the mixing container and add the thermal dust. The suggested ratio is 1 spoonful of dust to 1 liquid ounce of Angelus neutral. Make sure this is mixed really well because you don't want any of the dust clumping up, otherwise it won't run smoothly through the airbrush. Next up, we add a couple of drops of Angelus too thin using a pipette. This is just to make sure the paint isn't too thick for the airbrush. To mix the two products together, use the end of a paintbrush and have a few sprays on a piece of paper to get it all working before moving on to the boot. Once that is all mixed and ready to go, we look at how you actually use the airbrush system. Well, first of all, you need to slowly and carefully pour the desired paint into the top of the airbrush. Only a very small amount is needed as the airbrush is very efficient when using paint. Ready to start spraying, we wanted to make the upper red to transform the Vittorias into the Campeões. Holding the airbrush about 10 centimeters away, there is a button on top which is a little bit fiddly to use. You need to push the button down to release the air and then pull it back to release the paint. So that's how you control the amount of paint that comes out of the airbrush. A hairdryer was used to dry the paint in between coats. It is important to note that the hairdryer was used on cold as the hairdryer cannot be used normally as the paint is heat sensitive. Giving the upper a few final touches with the thermal dust, it was time to reveal how the boot was looking. Starting by removing the tape off the CR7, then progressing onto the collar. As always, just be careful to not aggressively pull off the tape as it can chip the paint. At this stage, the boot is looking great, with the solid red upper and the crisp white collar. Continuing the reveal, I removed the tape around the sole plate and off the Nike tip, revealing an amazing looking boot. In my opinion, this is already an amazing looking custom, but we are not done yet. Having seen how well the thermal dust worked on the upper, it is now time to test it on the collar. To do this, I grab a plastic bag and tape it roughly around the sole plate of the boot, protecting the CR7 and the Nike swoosh. One thing that you need to add again is the Angelus Too Thin. Mix it and have a practice spray, but once you're done you can crack on with the airbrush again. To our surprise, the paint took amazingly to the knit section and it kept its colour changing properties, which is perfect for this custom. The Vittorias are now really starting to look like the Campeões. However, one thing really sticks out, and that is the white Nike tip, which on the Campeões is actually gold. Before we can make the swoosh gold, it needed to be taped using painter's tape once again, with a plastic bag used to cover the large area. To add the colour, we used a metallic gold spray paint. Spraying it about 10 to 15 centimeters away, it is important to use light, even coats. After letting the spray paint dry, it is time to take the tape off and see how it is looking. In my opinion, the boot is looking class. All that is left is to add a final touches of gold detail. First thing to do is to make the mercurial branding on the lateral side gold. This is done simply by using a gold sharpie and tracing over the top. The final touch needed is to make the CR7 branding gold. We decided that just gold wasn't going to be good enough for this custom and it needed a bit of sparkle, so we used glitter. With the Vittorias transformed from white to red, they are looking outstanding with the touches of gold detail. Now all that is left is to show off the colour changing effect. Rightio, so it's time to show you guys that heat transforming effect. These two haven't seen it yet, but we started with this boot right here, the Vittorias, and we've got it here to the Campeões. So we're going to show you two what it looks like. So Blake, you can pick up the hairdryer, and we're adding heat to the boot.
About Matty.
Yes, boys! That looks real decent.
So it goes back to clear white, so it goes from red to transparent.
That's so good.
Show the other side.
So it's red on the instep, white on the outside.
That's so
Yeah,
cool.
love that. Good work, Tommy. Not bad, son. I quite like it like that.
You prefer it the white?
No, like that. It's a little like two-tone.
A little bit of pink.
Graffiti. Oh, it's coming back.
Yeah, it comes back. To speed up the coming back process, you can either use cold water, like we'll show you now, and it almost looks like blood splatters on top of the boot. So I've got the seal of approval from Blake and Maddie. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and as always,
We'll see you next time.
rightio, so it's time. Rightio, so it's.
Go.
Ah!